Story now. Commuters in Carriages and Mitchell's Plain have not had train services for weeks now. PRASA suspended its services 3 weeks ago and it's blaming vandalism for extensive damage. Now, to get an update on this story, PRASA Regional Manager in that area, Richard Walker, joins us on the line. Mr. Walker, thank you very much for your time. What started the fire this morning?
Good morning. Early indication at this stage is that the fire was deliberately started on two platforms. Obviously, the information at this stage is still sensitive. I've just met with SAPS and the Protection Services officials. We're still going through CCTV surveillance footage, but we're quite positive in terms of the leads that already has been uncovered, and the indication is very clear that the trains were deliberately set alight on those two platforms.
Could this be as a result of frustration from commuters who constantly blame PRASA for late arrival at work?
Look, if we look at the MO, the modus operandi, and if we also look at history, train fires associated with commuter frustration usually happens at the point when you do have disruptions while services are operating. For Cape Town, if we look at most of our incidents, it's actually been contrary. We've seen these incidents happening overnight while trains are already staged, and on some of these days, you would not have even have any, significant events in terms of service disruptions. So, we're very clear that there's a particular trend in terms of the Cape Town situation, which speaks to a narrative of, trains being deliberately targeted to destabilize the Metrorail system and probably ultimately the transport system as a whole.
You, as PRASA, have suspended the train services there for weeks now. How many weeks exactly, and what's the main reason for this suspension?
Well, in the main, I think we must understand the history of Area Central. It's located, it's a very open system. It's located also in a heavily densified, populated area, which is Carriages on the Cape Flats, as well as Mitchell's Plain, Nyanga, Bonteheuwel, and all of those areas. And if you look at the profile of those areas, it's also crime hotspot areas, and you've also got very serious socioeconomic, conditions in that area. We have been the target of ongoing and incessant vandalism in that area, and we've lost very critical infrastructure like our relay room and our substation at Bonteheuwel in 2017, 2018. That already, reduced the services on the Central Line to a very limited service, because we only then could operate on 2 of the 4 lines, which is supposed to service those corridors, and we were operating under manual authorization because the signaling system was totally destroyed as a result of that cable theft and the fact that we've lost that critical infrastructure. And then 2 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, we then also lost overhead cable in that area. Our teams have continuously gone out to replace that infrastructure and that material, and on signal cable alone, we've already spent about 8 million just for this year to replace the signal cable in that area. However, the situation over the past few weeks has just escalated to the extent where we, in the interest of, first of all, of safety, but also in terms of finding a more sustainable solution, because it would not make sense for us to continue to replace and the copper and cable theft get stolen.
Mr. Walker,
in that area.
Let me ask you this question. Is there something else behind these train fires? Because this is not the first time this is happening. And add to that, are you not partly to blame because some security has been suspended in these trains? You fired certain security companies. That also surely has got to add to this situation of trains that are not guarded.
Look, first of all, to the first part of your question, the issue of the train fires is part of a very high-level investigation with South African Police Services. We work very closely with them for the past 18, 24 months. There's a specific task team that is specifically looking at the train fires, and they are doing good work. And I'm sure, we will be provided with information in terms of that investigation from SAPS. And then secondly, the issue of the security, the contracts, that issue is still, with our legal team and with our executive management. And obviously, there's still the possibility of further litigation. So at this stage, I'm not going to comment on the situation with the contract security. But what I just need to say is, when this decision was taken, there were certain contingencies and measures that were put in place to ensure that, we still have visible policing and visible security on our stations, at our depots, as well as on the trains as well.
All right, Richard Walker, thank you very much for your time. He is PRASA's Western Cape Regional Manager.